Okay, let's dive right in. Imagine you need data. Maybe it's a list of products from an e-commerce site for market research.
Or contact info from a directory for leads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or articles from some source for a project.
Yeah.
Getting that info off the web, like into a usable format, a spreadsheet. Traditionally, that's meant either, painstaking copy
Which
pasting.
is the worst.
Oh, it really is. Or
Yeah.
learning complex code or using expensive kind of technical software.
Right. And that's a huge barrier for, well, pretty much anyone who just needs the data without wanting to become a web scraping guru.
Exactly. Which is why today we're doing a deep dive into Chat4Data. It's this brand new Chrome extension, AI-powered, and it promises to really shake things up. Our mission here is to unpack exactly what this tool is, how it actually works its magic with AI, who it's genuinely designed for, and maybe most importantly, what you absolutely need to know about using something like this responsibly and effectively, before jumping in.
Yeah, and we've looked at a few things, an overview report, a pretty fresh Reddit AMA with the creators, and a summary comparison piece. It gives us a decent picture of what it can do, the tech behind it, and some, frankly, crucial things to keep in mind.
The core idea is just, it's super compelling. Getting structured data just by, chatting with the tool. In plain English, it literally just launched early June 2025, and it's already making waves. We saw on Product Hunt, it's got, over 1.1K followers?
And 730 plus upvotes already. Yeah.
Clearly, people are hungry for this kind of thing.
Absolutely. So at its heart, Chat4Data is a Chrome browser extension, and it uses AI.
Right, and its main purpose.
It's really about democratizing access to structured data online, letting users, especially those without a coding background, pull information using just simple conversational prompts. Instead of messing with XPath or CSS selectors, you just sort of tell it what you want.
Okay, so how does it actually do that? What are the features that make it different?
Well, the big one, obviously, is that conversational workflow. You type or maybe speak your request in plain English, something like, give me the names and prices of all the books on this page.
And the AI figures it out.
The AI interprets that, translates it into the technical steps needed, and goes and scrapes the data. It handles the how.
Okay, so it does the structured data extraction then.
Exactly. It's designed to automatically spot and grab different data types: text, links, images, emails, phone numbers, even stuff that might be hidden visually, but it's in the code. And it tries to put it all into nice, clean columns for you.
And once it's got the data, you said it exports it.
Yep, straight into Excel files, which is super handy for analysis or plugging into other tools. No extra cleaning or converting needed, ideally.
What about those really annoying websites, like the ones with endless lists that just keep loading as you scroll down?
An infinite scroll or pagination.
Yeah, or those where you have to click next, next, next.
Right, so the sources really highlight this. The tool is apparently built to handle both infinite scrolling and those paginated listings. It aims to detect those patterns automatically and just navigate through them to get the full data exhaustively, as they put it.
Without you having to babysit it.
Precisely. For anyone who's tried grabbing data from sites like that manually, that's a massive time saver.
Huge. Okay, they also mentioned smart presets. What's that about?
Think of them as one-click shortcuts.
Yeah.
They're preset configurations designed to help the AI quickly zero in on common stuff people want, product details, contact info, makes setting up a scrape a bit quicker for typical tasks.
And compatibility. Does it just work on simple blogs, or can it tackle the trickier sites?
They claim universal compatibility. The sources specifically mention it working on potentially tough ones, like major e-commerce sites, Amazon's named, plus listing directories, lead generation sources. The promise is it works pretty much anywhere you see a list you want.
Okay, this is the part I'm really interested in. If I'm just typing in English, how does the AI know that bit is the product name, and that is the price, and that's a review score? What's actually going on under the hood?
Yeah, this is where that Reddit AMA was useful. It's not just one single AI model doing everything. It's more of a layered approach. They're using a mix of models, each kind of specialized.
Like different tools for different parts of the job? Makes sense.
Exactly. So for actually seeing and understanding the elements on the web page, figuring out this text is a title, this is an image, this number is a price, they're using some pretty powerful large language models.
Right.
Things like Claude 3.7 and Gemini 2.0 Flash are mentioned.
Got it. So those models identify the pieces on the page.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Then, to understand your request, what you actually mean when you type get names and prices, they use something like DeepSeek R1. That model's apparently good at grasping user intent from natural language.
Okay.
And they mentioned GPT-4 Mini is there as a sort of fallback just in case.
Right. So understanding the page, understanding the user, two different challenges.
Exactly. And then they have these custom lightweight models specifically trained just to handle the navigation part, figuring out where the next page button actually is or how the infinite scroll mechanism works on that particular site. Plus, they did mention future plans. They want to add computer vision models too, which could potentially make recognizing page elements even more accurate by visually understanding the layout better.
Okay, so who is this really for? Who's the target user here?
Well, looking at the use cases mentioned, it's definitely aimed squarely at people who need structured list-type data from websites,
Yeah.
but crucially aren't coders. Think market researchers, maybe folks in e-commerce needing to grab competitor product listings from Amazon or similar sites.
Or someone trying to build a contact list, maybe?
For sure. Lead generation seems like a big one, scraping contact details, emails, phone numbers from online directories, professional listing sites, that kind of thing.
Right.
Also, academics, business analysts, really anyone who needs to collect data points like reviews, news headlines, or just other structured data in a list format for studies or reports. Basically, if you look at a web page and see a list of things you wish was in a spreadsheet and you don't want to write code, this is kind of designed for you.
That seems like a lot of people. What about the cost, though? Because traditional scraping tools, sometimes they have subscriptions or usage fees that can really stack up.
Yeah, good point. They've gone for a freemium model here, which seems pretty accessible, actually. You get 1 million free tokens just for signing up.
1 million tokens. Sounds like a lot, but what do they actually pay for?
Okay, this is the really crucial detail to grasp about the pricing. The sources are quite clear. These tokens are primarily used for the light natural language processing costs.
Meaning
the cost tied to the AI understanding your chat prompts, your instructions. But the actual heavy lifting, the scraping process itself, navigating pages, extracting the data, that part apparently doesn't consume tokens.
Wait, hang on. So the main activity, the scraping, is essentially free in terms of tokens.
That's what the information suggests, yeah. The cost is focused on that initial interaction, getting the AI to understand what you want, which should be relatively low token usage per task setup. They also mentioned no rate limits on the jobs you run, which is good if you're doing big, long scraping tasks. And if you do burn through your free million tokens, extras are priced at $1 per $1 million.
Okay, that pricing structure. It sounds really attractive, especially for people new to this or maybe with fluctuating data needs. But, it is a very new tool. Are there important things to consider? Limitations, maybe? Warnings?
Definitely. Number one thing to remember, it just launched, this month, June 2025, so it's very much early days. Right now, it's focused on list scraping, page scraping.
Right.
The ability to then, say, drill down into each item on that list, like scrape a list of products, and then automatically visit each product's page to grab reviews or specs that kind of detailed crawling. They say it's coming soon, but it's not there yet.
So great for the initial list, but not yet for digging deeper automatically.
Correct. Another thing, one of the sources mentioned a concern flagged by some directory site about what they termed questionable growth tactics or reviews linked to the tool.
Oh.
Yeah, the sources flagged this as a warning, basically saying, proceed with a bit of caution, maybe look into those claims yourself if you can find anything, just something to be aware of.
Definitely noted. What about getting blocked? Lots of websites actively try to stop scrapers.
It apparently has some built-in light automation trying to limit detection, but the sources also indicate that really comprehensive proxy strategies or ways to bypass advanced bot protection aren't fully detailed yet.
Meaning
I might struggle a bit on the really heavily protected websites compared to maybe more established, complex scraping tools that have had years to build sophisticated workarounds.
Okay, so don't assume it's like an invisibility cloak for every single site out there. It has some basic defenses, but the toughest sites might still block it.
Exactly. And, this brings us to probably the most vital piece of the puzzle when using any web scraping tool, especially one that makes it this easy. The whole legal and ethical side of things.
Yeah, this really puts the onus on the user, doesn't it? If pretty much anyone can grab data with just a chat prompt, you absolutely need to know the rules of the road.
Absolutely. The sources are very, very clear here. First up, a website's terms of service, the TOS. Scraping often violates these terms, which are essentially a contract you agree to by using the site, breaking that contract. Well, it could have legal consequences, depending on the situation and jurisdiction.
So just because the tool can scrape a site doesn't automatically mean the site allows you to, based on their own rules.
Precisely. And then beyond the site's own rules, you've got actual laws to think about. You need to be aware of legal boundaries around, say, banned content types, privacy laws, think GDPR in Europe, and specific anti-scraping laws like the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, CFAA, in the U.S.
And the sources point out these laws aren't the same everywhere.
Not at all. They vary quite a bit by region. What might be okay in the U.S. could be problematic in Canada or the EU or vice versa. You really need to understand the laws that apply to you and where the website you're targeting is based.
And for anyone thinking of using this data for research, there was a warning about potential bias too, right?
Yeah, that's important. Scrape data isn't always perfect. It can be incomplete, inconsistent, or just capture a snapshot in time that might change. Researchers really need to be careful about data quality, potential biases based on how the site presented the info, or if the scrape itself missed things. Just relying on it uncritically could definitely skew your findings.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. What are the key takeaways here?
All right, ease of use. Big check mark there. The natural chat interface, no code needed. That's the main draw.
Scope. Good for lists right now. Detailed, nested scraping is on the horizon, but not yet.
Costs. Pretty accessible. That freemium start, and then the pay-as-you-go where tokens are mostly for the chat part, not the heavy scraping work itself. Seems fair. Tech. Uses that smart mix of different AI models for understanding the page and your request. Plus, plans for vision tech down the line.
Drawbacks. It's new, still evolving. Bot detection might not beat the toughest sites yet, and there's that flagged concern about growth tactics to keep in the back of your mind.
And legal. Huge user responsibility here. You must check and comply with website TOS, privacy laws like GDPR, and any anti-scraping laws relevant to where you are.
So what does all this boil down to for you, the listener, if you're considering trying Chat4Data?
Well, if you're not a coder and you need structured list data from common places like directories or e-commerce sites, the sources suggest this is a really strong, easy-to-use contender because of that chat interface. Worth looking into.
Definitely do a small test scrape first, though, just to see how many tokens your type of request uses. Get a feel for potential costs, even if the scraping part is token-free. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, good call. And keep an eye on their roadmap. Things like detailed page scraping and better anti-detection features will make it more powerful over time if they deliver.
And maybe the biggest piece of advice echoes what we just said. Use it responsibly. Always. Always check the website's terms of service first. Scrub any data you collect for personally identifiable information, PII, unless you have a very clear legal reason to have it. And make sure you understand the privacy and anti-scraping laws for your region and the site you're targeting.
And hey, since it is early stage, maybe give them feedback. Your experience could actually help shape how the tool improves.
So the bottom line on Chat4Data seems to be, it's a really compelling, no-code, AI-driven shortcut for grabbing structured list data off the web just by talking to it. It definitely makes web scraping accessible to a much wider audience, market researchers, entrepreneurs, academics, regular folks who just need data.
But, and it's a significant but, it's still maturing. And it puts a huge amount of responsibility squarely on your shoulders as the user to make sure you're collecting and using that data ethically and legally. So test it out. Watch how it develops, but always, always scrape smart and play by the rules.
It really is a powerful new avenue for accessing information online. And it kind of shifts the whole problem, doesn't it? From the technical challenge of getting the data to what you actually do with it once you have it.
Yeah.
Which, leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider. If AI tools like this make gathering massive amounts of data dramatically easier, moving the main difficulty from how you collect it to what you do with it, what new ethical obligations does that place on you, the user of that data? Obligations that go beyond just the act of collection itself. Something to think about as these tools become even more common.